Hi, it's been over a month since my last Facebook Live, and I forgot my little microphones today, but hopefully this works well enough. As you can see, my little title today is Scars. Last month I talked to you about one of the common points of human existence, pain. But today's topic is another common point, scars. We all have scars. Some scars are physical, so they are visible, we can see them. You know, a cut on your leg, a surgical scar, like the one I have after a recent surgery. A broken arm, some scarring caused by, say, measles or some other skin issue. And then there are those scars that we cannot see. You know, psychological scars, mind scars. The scars caused by events in life. The things that are sometimes hidden from the rest of the world, we know only inside ourselves. And in many ways, according to all the research that people do, those invisible scars are sometimes much more difficult to get rid of than the visible ones. You know, these days you can put these scar creams, and they're pretty good. They remove more scars, or at least they lighten them enough that you cannot see them so well. But the scars within us, those do not lighten so easily. You know, when somebody says an unkind word to you, the hurt that it may cause may be momentary, but most of the time it tends to be long-lasting. We remember. Have you ever noticed that there are two kinds of dreams that you tend to remember? According to brain research, all of us have dreams, multiple dreams every night. But we remember the bad dreams, while we also remember the really happy, the really good dreams. Everything else we seem to forget. If you look back into your life when you were in school, there are two kinds of teachers you remember the most. I do. There is that math teacher who made your life miserable, who gave you mental scars by making you feel you are so stupid you cannot get any calculus problem correct. And then there are those teachers who lift you up so much that it impacts your eternal career. I had such a teacher in my theological training, my very first year of theological training. He is the primary reason I got into Old Testament studies and went through all the layers of studies about the Old Testament. So there are probably two kinds of scars. The scars that are negative, that remind us of hurt and pain, of bad things that happen. But then there are also the scars that remind us of good things. So a birthmark, for example, is a kind of a scar. Scars that tell us, you know, this is something that happened. Now, I have a brand new surgical scar. It's only a few weeks old. And of course, I remember the pain that led me to the hospital, that led to the operating table and removing some body part and repairing some other part. But this scar also reminds me of a nurse in that hospital who, though not a practicing Christian, but came from a Christian background, and she did something that I will probably remember the rest of my life. As they wheeled me out from the room towards the operating theater, just as my trolley was exiting the room, she said to me, "Sir, God bless you." Now, there was no one there with me, since it was a Saturday, to pray and do that priestly act on my behalf. After all, I'm a minister as well. But this simple nurse saying a simple word of blessing made me feel a little better about having the surgery. And so, even though we may not like the scarring, but it can have a positive effect. It can remind us of something good or of someone good that we met along the way. Now, some scars remind us of something that is neither really good nor bad, but maybe more like embarrassing. For instance, you're walking down the street and for no apparent reason you step on something wrong and you fall face down and you get some little scratches here and there. You're not really in pain and it doesn't take long to heal, but you feel embarrassed. And I'm sure that if you're like me, you probably had a similar experience. You're embarrassed because there are other people around. You're embarrassed because total strangers see you falling down and they cannot know exactly what happened. Now, whether they laugh at you or do not laugh at you, you still feel a little bit self-conscious. So scars have multiple effects on us. But you see, there is a magnificent promise in the Bible. When you enter the book of Revelation, as we reach the climax of that book, Revelation 21, starting with verse 1, we read this: I saw a new heaven and a new earth. And then the next thing we read is that in this new heaven and new earth, there are no tears, there's no mourning, there's no death. Now, what is the point of telling us those things? Is John really telling us that there will be no remembrance of things that happen on earth, that we will have a new brain that will be implanted into us, so we'll have only new memories? No, I think what he's saying is code for the scars you experience on earth will be removed. In this new creation, the scars that brought tears, the scars that brought mourning, the scars that brought death, they will be taken out of the picture. To me, that's a very comforting message, that God will not leave us permanently scarred. While we are on this earth, we will have scars. But the book of Zechariah tells us that the only one who will carry permanent scars in the new creation is none other than Jesus himself. And that is a great comfort as well, because it will be a reminder of the extent of our healing. That's an amazing thing to even contemplate, that Christ would go through eternity with a reminder on his body, so to speak, of what he has done for us, so that our gratitude in heaven is not based on end product. It's based on relationship, not because we receive something, but because we can then see and always be reminded of what it cost God for us to be there. Now, that's an amazing part of biblical reality, biblical truth. Because Zechariah tells us that there will be people in the kingdom of the Messiah who will ask him, what are these scars in your hands and your side? He will say, these are the scars I received in the house of my friends. Now, one of the scars we have in today's world because of social media is this phenomenon of unfriending somebody. So you are on Facebook, like I am right now, and you have a list of friends, and one of them said something nasty and you don't really like it, and so you unfriend them. And suddenly they realize on the other end, hey, I'm not on his Facebook anymore. What happened? Why did he cut me? These are scars that are a bit artificial, because we don't have the courage to do it face to face, but on social media it's so much easier. And most of the scarring happening today is based on social media. It's not things that happen live to people anymore. Cyberbullying, trolling, and all these other terms have come about because of humans' ability to cause scars even when they are thousands of kilometers away from the object. And this is the sad thing about our current situation. Now, social media and technology has been a great blessing to us during the pandemic years. But it has a very dark side, the ability to create scars, mostly invisible scars. But think of what it would mean as you walk through those pearly gates and realize the scars disappearing. Actually see that happen to yourself. To feel your mind, your soul, your heart being divested of all those things that hurt, that cause pain. And the physical ones, obviously. You know, as I walk through those pearly gates, my surgical scars are going to disappear. I know that on this earth, it'll probably remain with me the rest of my life. Well, a little bit of it. It will always be visible. But that's the promise of God. there will be no scars in heaven except on Christ. And I believe the reason for Christ is love. That his love for us allows him to keep those scars as an eternal reminder to the entire cosmos, not just redeemed humans, but the angels and everyone else out there, that this is how much I love them. So when John says, God loves the world so much, it also means to such an extent that he would keep the scars. And so I hope that as you look at the scars in your life and you contemplate the pain, but also the joys, those ambiguous scars that you have, that you'll think of that promise that one day a time is coming when the scars will not matter and they will be removed, taken away, disappear, vanish. That's a day to look forward to. So anybody who says going to heaven is going to be a boring experience, well, they need to look inward at themselves and say, do I have scars? Do I want to really get rid of these scars forever? There is a way, but only then. And so may God bless you, whatever scars you carry, visible, invisible, emotional, psychological, or physical, or spiritual. Know that a time is coming when the healer of all scars will take our scars away. And heaven will only see his scars as a reminder of our healing. God bless. Shabbat Shalom. Have a good week ahead.